Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. It is a special Toxically Masculine Tuesday, Thursday night edition. Why? Because the President of the United States is scheduled to give a speech here around 9 Eastern, our normal time, except on Tuesday. And there is some indication something interesting may be coming out of his mouth tonight. For the first time. It's been disappointing before. Dr. Brooks Agnew is not able to join us tonight, but I do have, we do expect Steve Doran, the trail boss, to join us soon, but I do have a couple of substitute players here, actually. They're not substitutes. We got our regulars. We got TV's Blake Wally taking a little break from managing the Lickety Split, the finest strip club in Nashville, Tennessee. Blake, how you doing tonight, and what is up?
Doing well. Great to be here. I'm looking forward to this speech. Hopefully, expecting some happy surprises. We could certainly use one. And so it's interesting that we'll get into that. I'm glad to be here, and we'll see how this goes. So it's coming up 8 minutes from now.
Yeah, we're going to do a little speculation. Also joining us tonight is the special honorary member of the Toxically Masculine Tuesday group. Certainly, he's the guy who's on the deck, if not in the hole. Brian Engelman from the New American Media and Strictly Football. Brian, how are you doing tonight? And welcome into the show.
Living the dream. Thanks for inviting me. By the way, speaking of Strictly Football, upcoming season, Izzy was just telling me he graduated, became an airman, one of our members from last season. It was great having him in with Jim Mitchell and yourself.
Yes, and I don't have a debit card right now. I had to turn it in because of fraud. I'll get it sometime next week, and then I will be sending you a little bit of money to his account so he can buy a little, I don't know, what do airmen smoke? Weed or something?
They smoke the bad guys, Mike.
Yeah, that's
the bad
right.
guys. He just got his assignment after becoming an airman at the he's going up north, an hour north of San Francisco. So that's where he's going to be. But then he told me today, he says, I got the number one choice. But they told me in a social media session, I'm not allowed to appear on programming that streams live. I said, no. So he might be out for this season. We'll see. It's new.
We will. He may be, but we can always find a way to welcome Izzy back in. All right, guys. The point of the evening is Donald Trump is scheduled to give a significant speech tonight in just about 6 minutes. He is usually late. I don't think he's going to be very late tonight. I have a feeling this is going to be a very important speech. I don't know why. I don't know. Look, every time we have expected something big from Donald Trump, he has let us down in the past, and we will go to the audio when the time comes. Guys, what do you think, just off the top of your heads, what do you think is going to be the subject of tonight's live stream? Any thought, or tonight's speech? Any thoughts on what it is? There's lots of rumors floating around, but there's no real evidence. Blake?
Yeah, I think I'm probably just going to roll with the election interference. Either it's from a foreign actor, or it could be Venezuela, China, Iran. Who knows what they're going to find, if they're going to uncover that. I think it's of note that a lot of these networks aren't covering it. I think I've already heard NBC and ABC have already said they're not going to show it. So maybe they're afraid they're going to, see something. I don't know. They want to spin it for their audience. So they're going to keep them in the dark. That's what I'm most excited about, is that there is going to be something really explosive, interesting that we're in for it, and not another big disappointment.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. They said, Eric Schmidt said, some of the facts that we revealed in President Trump's speech tonight are truly shocking. If the networks were truly serving the public, they would be showing it, blah, 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 blah. Brian, the thing is, Donald Trump can force this. He has something called the Emergency Broadcast System, or the EBS. I don't see any reason why he can't just force it onto those networks. In fact, I would force it onto every channel. He could do that, and he could be basically begging them to call his bluff on this. Now, that's kind of bold action that he's never taken, that he certainly could have. You have any expectation that there will be any dramatic confrontation over that tonight? Because the reality is the news networks can't keep the president from talking directly to the American people. They're not supposed to be able to, especially if there's foreign election interference. Isn't that a state of emergency? What do you think?
Well, number one, the lying legacy media outlets are granted a special provision, a set of, liberties, because they are so trusted and they're so important. I mean, it's sort of a relic from the Cold War era, I suppose. But yeah, if he has the ability to pop in through emergency broadcast, shut them down. In the immortal words of our favorite hip hop artists, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. Force the feed if you can, because if we're talking election interference, if we're talking DNI, FBI, all the alphabet agencies proving treason most foul, damn right you break in for that.
That's something the American people need to know and need to hear about. And also, at the very least, if there is serious news, especially those two networks need to lose their broadcast license tonight before the end of the evening. So, because they're not doing, I think so. Blake, you got any opinion on that? I mean, I think they should. Yeah.
If they come out with a bombshell, like we got to pull both the senators out of Georgia because we got them dead to rights during our investigation, and the networks deliberately keep their audience in there, then they should lose their license. That would
I agree 100% that they're no longer news networks, and so we'll see if there's anything that shocking or revelatory in the speech tonight. Let's do an audio test just to be sure. I'm going to bring the video up, and let's check the audio and make sure the audience can hear.
Are registered to vote in federal elections, and that will also be a piece of what the president talks about tonight. Caitlin with the Post also says the shocking number was compiled by the Department of Homeland Security and is including in a forthcoming report by the agency, per my source, who noted it's just one piece of what Trump is expected to unveil during his primetime speech tonight.
Okay,
I'm Austin Westfall. What we're doing is...
Did everybody hear that? Let me know over there in the comments. Also, don't forget, you can like, subscribe, Rumble Rant, and Super Chat. We appreciate each and every one of that. I got to get each of these guys a bottle of Crab Cat whiskey, which Victoria from the Y-Files is going to owe me here pretty soon. So this is a birthday or Christmas present, actually Christmas present for you guys. So we can hear, we're waiting to see what happens. Isn't this going to be a big crashing disappointment if he doesn't do anything drastic, Blake? I mean, we've been waiting 8 years for some arrests. We've been waiting 4.5 years, 5 years for the election fraud to be exposed. The evidence has been there for a long time. Won't it be a defeat, basically, for Donald Trump if this is just a list of, we got this evidence, we got this evidence, we got this evidence, and we're going to investigate, then I think this is a complete waste of time, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. They might as well just spare us the time, because the leftists or whoever, they're just going to rub it in everyone's face, and they deserve it. So we can't afford another one of those. So let's hope that's not the case.
Brian, do you think this is an attempt to spin the race coming towards the fall midterm elections, or what do you think? Do you think they really have the goods on them this time?
Well, look, my gut instinct, my spidey senses tell me that President Trump is no dope. He's not getting us into unnecessary wars. He's going back on all of his promises. He's just as bad as Barack Hussein Obama. Shut up. No, I'm not believing any of that. The strategy of going into Venezuela and sorting out the Panama Canal, getting into Cuba, kind of locking in our hemisphere with Greenland. This whole United States experiment has been an absolute mess for decades because of what the deep state has been doing. That being said, I have a hunch that Venezuela and Maduro, maybe he's singing, maybe he's buying his freedom, admitting the treason that he's been involved with, perhaps with China. And maybe it all comes out tonight. So my hunch is Venezuela is going to play an important role. Maybe China's a bigger role, but I'm curious, did Maduro sing after he was ripped out in his Nike running suit in the middle of the night with the discombobulated?
That's a good question. I want to welcome Steve Doran. Steve, better late than never. We're glad to have you here. Thank you for coming in.
On this at 8 o'clock.
No, I said 7:15, but that's okay. I just want to ask you, what do you think about these events tonight? What do you think this is all about? And do you expect anything really serious or revelatory for a change?
Well, again, like I said on Tuesday night, I'm not looking for anything earth-shattering to happen tonight. I think he's going to talk mostly about what's going on in Iraq. He may say
Iran,
I'm sorry. He may say that they're not going to negotiate anymore. They continue to break the treaty. So he's going to go after them hammer and tong and totally destroy the regime. That would be my only guess.
So you don't expect much about the election fraud of 2020. You don't expect to hear a lot about that, like it's been.
Not at all.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, it is on time. Okay.
Yeah, I knew he would be.
Let's listen live.
Before we begin, I'm proud to report that our country is safer, stronger, and far wealthier than it has ever been before. We are doing great. Less than 2 years ago, we inherited an economic and social disaster. After the worst inflation in 48 years, the wide open borders with millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, including criminals of all types, and 11,888 murders, many of whom killed more than one person. We had transgender for everybody, men and women's sports, crime ravaging our cities, and the whole world was laughing at us as a nation, but not anymore. 2 years ago, our country was dead. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. America is respected like we have never been respected before. We have more money being invested in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. More Americans are working today than ever before. This week it was announced that inflation saw the largest monthly decline in more than 6 years. Just happened. It was just given out. The media reported it, and we accept it. The best in 6 years. The tax cuts in our great, big, beautiful bill are saving hardworking families thousands and thousands of dollars. Like with the provisions, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, along with the interest deduction on a loan used to purchase a car, but only if that car is made in America, and a 100% expensing for our job-creating businesses. Our stock markets are at their highest point in many years, but we can actually say of all time. And your 401ks, pensions, and retirement accounts are setting records every single day, the highest in history. For years, we paid the highest price for prescription drugs anywhere in the world. Now we pay the lowest price under my most favored nation's policy, because I was able to get the rest of the world and the pharmaceutical companies to act responsibly. Drug prices are coming down by 70, 80, and 90%. TrumpRx.gov, this will ultimately reduce the cost of healthcare. You have to go to TrumpRx.gov and take advantage of it. but the cost of health care is coming way down because of what we've done with prescription drugs. And with Trump accounts, every child in America now has access to a tax-free investment account to save for their future. Billions and billions of dollars are being invested, put in by companies and individuals to take care of our children so that at age 18, they will have potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in their account, and they'll get off to a great start in life. So for that, go to trumpaccounts.gov and sign up your child or any child who'd like to sign up. Our previously wide open borders have been transformed into the most secure borders in the history of our country, with 0 illegal aliens being admitted to the United States.
I'm waiting for the
in the
butt
past
monkey. Where's
14
the butt
months.
monkey?
That is 0. Nobody thought it was possible. We had the worst border in the history of our country, and now we have the best. Crime is plummeting nationwide, with the murder rate at its lowest level since 1900, or more than 125 years ago. We're making a record investment in our armed forces, and we have the strongest and most powerful military by far anywhere in the world. I built it during my first term, and unfortunately, we're forced to use it now. We won in Venezuela, which is now working with us to produce millions and millions of barrels of oil. We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly. America is back and doing really well, but we still have a major challenge that must be urgently addressed, because no country could be great without fair and honest elections. You have to trust your country, because if there can be no trust, there can be no greatness. And that's very simple. No trust, no greatness. For many years, I've called for bold, swift, and decisive action to protect the integrity of America's elections. Every American deserves to know that when they cast their vote, that vote will be counted accurately in a system, and that is to make that system secure. One where cheating and interference are not just difficult, but virtually impossible. Unfortunately, the system we have today falls catastrophically short of that standard. Tonight, I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure. This evidence shows that the election system we have dangerously exposes, and really exposes like levels never thought possible, to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference. Just as disturbingly, this vital information has for many years been covered up and hidden from you, the American people, our beautiful, our great American people. But that all changes right now. The documents we will release starting tonight have been gathered by the White House Government Transparency Task Force, a great group of people, along with the staff of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, supported by our top intelligence agency chiefs, who have all personally reviewed the findings. We are presenting this evening and fully confirmed their authenticity. You can see these documents for yourself at whitehouse.gov. That's whitehouse.gov. Go check it out. Our purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in election, but to earn that confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly. And that's what we're doing. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files.
Wow.
That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China has signed a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project. Compounding the travesty, the second set of documents we are releasing reveals that members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people, many cases, in our intelligence agency work to actively suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible. U.S. spy agencies began learning about the compromise of voter registration files in 2020 when they discovered that tens of millions of voter data, think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress. In fact, all they kept saying is, this is the most secure election in the history of our country. A standard, very pat line that was divvied out to say. The cover-up of this colossal security breach is even more disturbing in light of the additional information showing that China engaged in other election-related activities to undermine my first administration and our 2020 campaign. They did not want, and they just didn't want it. They fought like hell not to have it, Donald Trump, to win, and for good reason. As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicitly stated, and I quote, in mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his re-election. Isn't that nice? Also, in mid-2018, China was working to influence the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 presidential election itself. Separately, in mid-2019, the Chinese government's strategy against the United States was focused on undermining domestic confidence in the U.S. president. They wanted to just make you sound like your president wasn't so hot, when actually your president has done a great job, and they did everything possible to do exactly that. Going on, this document says, and this is by the CIA, the strategy included efforts to use Chinese contacts with big U.S. companies to influence U.S. business leaders to turn against the President of the United States of America. The Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them, charged them billions and billions of dollars worth of tariffs, and built the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. These are exact quotes from the CIA reporting. The name of the person doing the quote is now under review, but it gets even worse. Raw intelligence obtained by the FBI in 2020, yet buried by rogue bureaucrats, stated that China's activities even included an attempt to manufacture illegal ballots for Joe Biden. Documents show that during this period, dozens of significant CIA and NSA reports about China's election targeting were kept out of the presidential briefing. These were briefings I would get almost every day. Everything was kept out that was of importance. One email among intelligence analysts admitted that they had, quote, deliberately massaged the presidential daily briefing to withhold information regarding Chinese activities related to the election. Another official inside the FBI wrote that she was running, quote, a shadow government, unquote, to keep intelligence about China's election meddling from becoming known and to keep it away from the honorable press. Other officials who witnessed such efforts perceived the motivations to be blatantly political. Recently, we found significant numbers of burn bags in formation, and this is a group of bags that were used to destroy information given by President Barack Hussein Obama to be burned. It was supposed to be burned. These bags were supposed to be at a different level by different people, incinerated and checked, but it never happened. Maybe we got lucky. We believe this was not done on purpose, but rather through gross incompetence of the people that were supposed to burn the bags. But the findings are stunning. Today, I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden, to fire those involved in the cover-up, and to file criminal charges, if appropriate, against these people. Yet concealing China's meddling was only the beginning. The third set of documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems, dishonest, almost all. They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it? Made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites, are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries could use this access to these systems to disrupt election processes within the United States of America. Tonight, we're releasing all of those findings, and spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today, we are releasing documents that show the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig their own country's elections in 2020, and that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about methods to regime develop to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked or compromised like it was in the past. The fourth set of documents reveals that even when significant evidence of fraud has been detected, it has been buried and covered up. Among the disclosures tonight are FBI files detailing evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation in Michigan. In 2020, Michigan State Police raided a Democrat Get Out the Vote organization, corrupt group in Muskegon. And we're so concerned by what they found. They were just so concerned, they couldn't believe it, actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of applications that they produced. In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it. Tonight, I'm asking the FBI director to ensure that the matter is fully investigated and to work with the Department of Justice to prosecute those responsible for any crimes. Finally, to reveal just how vulnerable our elections continue to be, we are releasing the results of a stunning investigation by the Department of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review, state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls, and yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail. As one example of the insanity, California's recent election for mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that, much more than 1 month. Took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC Fake News have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it. They and others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in value airways for absolutely no money. They pay nothing. All we want is honesty in our elections and honesty in reporting. They pay nothing for multi-billion-dollar assets. Great damage has been done to our country. Our elections were left vulnerable to being rigged and stolen, and the trust of the American people was lost. This cannot be allowed to continue. Every American, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or otherwise, should be able to agree that we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system anywhere in the world. Secure elections should be a partisan, really, we should be together, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everybody, and it should not be a partisan issue. It should cause to unite us, not to divide us. This should be a cause. We should be united, not divided. In light of the brand new and irrefutable information I have revealed tonight, my administration is in the process of notifying the states whose election data was compromised by the People's Republic of China and many others. We will be working closely to mitigate any harm, and we're taking swift action to ensure that sensitive voter data is better protected so we can never be bought, We can never be hacked, and we can never watch a stolen election again. Tomorrow, the Secretary of Homeland Security will hold a briefing to outline his department's recent work confirming cyber vulnerabilities in our electronic voting systems. They are bad. We're in the process of informing governors, senators, and members of Congress of potential issues in their states. If you look at voting today, it's in such bad shape in so many states, and we are committing to fix it. And we're also committing to be working with those states and local jurisdictions to help them fix and patch known technical vulnerabilities before the midterm elections. We have very important elections coming up. We want those elections to be honest. I've also ordered DHS to notify every state about non-citizens on their voter rolls and direct them to remove all ineligible voters from the lists immediately. But most importantly, addressing this crisis of election security demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat? The only reason you wouldn't do it is you want to cheat because your policies are so bad and your candidates are so pathetic that you can't get away or can't get elected any other way. This landmark bill requires that all voters must show photo voter ID. How simple is that? Could I have your photo, please? Photo voter ID. All voters must provide proof of citizenship. Are you a citizen of our country, please? And hopefully there will be no corrupt mail-in ballots, which if you watched California and so many other places, mail-in ballots are inherently corrupt. So you would have no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel if you're going away on business or vacation. These reforms are urgently needed to stop the vulnerabilities that I've mentioned. To all Americans, I ask you to pick up your phone tomorrow, call your representatives in the House and Senate, and demand that they pass the Save America Act without delay. Together, we will restore faith and confidence in our country, and we will be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our great military, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
All right, you're listening in there.
Okay, Steve, what'd you think of that?
Well, I mean, it's nothing that we didn't already know. And then
Yep.
secondly, he said that they identified X amount, I can't remember the exact number, of non-American citizens who were voting.
278,000.
Okay, so 238,000. There should be 238,000 warrants issued. They should lose if they have legally admitted for permanent resident status. That should be revoked, and they should be deported immediately. Anyone who voted in the election that's not an American citizen, if they, again, he's saying they know who they are, they need to be gone. The other thing is that he did what he always does, is he didn't give us names of people who were involved. He knows who was involved. He should have.
He did. He said Barack Hussein Obama. He did name, yes, the former president as the ringleader.
We know that there's senators involved, congressmen involved, governors involved, people within the FBI. He should have started naming.
I am saying
used most of his time to name names.
I'm just saying I think that's kind of an important one to start with. Go ahead. Let's keep going. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that we knew all of this. And then, of course, when he talked about Venezuela, he talked about using those machines to for their elections, not our elections, but to cheat on their elections, which really isn't any of our concern, other than we wanted their oil. We wanted to control the oil in this hemisphere. But like I said, I've heard these speeches before. They say that they're going to investigate. They say they're going to prosecute. Well, at the very least, the American people should know every single name of every single person nationwide that was involved in any of this.
Right. I agree with you 100% because, Blake, I mean, I wrote down in a big note right here, who were their collaborators? It's one thing to say China, Iran, Russia were involved in interfering in our elections. We all know that. Spain, let me add Spain to that list. Let me add the former Venezuelan government to that list. We know all this, or at least those of us that are paying attention and have a fucking brain know all this. But the question for me is, who were their collaborators? And it's interesting. He doesn't seem to be working from the bottom up. He started at the top. He named Barack Hussein Obama as a collaborator with these burn bags, which is, by the way, a felony federal crime, and it's election interference, and it could possibly be treason. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's certainly an opening to hopefully they explore that, and perhaps that will lead to Obama. That is an interesting point that he brought up, and probably something that leftist media would be very uncomfortable with, having their audience hear something like that. So yeah, I agree. So that's some of the positive stuff. I've downloaded all the documents now from the White House website. I don't know how much I'm actually I'll let other people dig through there. We'll see if there's any other big names, that there's something. So there is something. Hopefully we'll find something in these files, not like the Epstein binders where it's just, okay, all stuff we already know. And then, you're going to do some investigations that are going to lead to nowhere. Yes. So got to get the SAVE Act, but I was hoping for something more substantial, like Georgia polling the senators. That would have been epic, but alas.
Chickened out on that one, I think. Brian, what were your impressions, and do you think this goes anywhere?
I was typing a lot of the impressions over there in the chat while it was going. So where are the arrests? Why didn't this happen at 3 a.m. last night? And this is the announcement. This is the speech to explain why 100 people were perp walked with CNN cameras there at 3 a.m, like Roger Stone, or rifling through Melania's underwear drawer. Give me a break. Like, it starts off as a campaign speech. Look, Trump's fun to listen to. He kind of made me chuckle several times during the speech, but it's like, this is the same old we've heard over and over again. Where was, yes, you dropping names, Barack Hussein Obama. Of course. Joe Biden wasn't a term. That was the third Obama term. If you don't count it as his fourth term, when Obama ran the deep state kneecapping President Trump's first term with all the indictments and all of the impeachments and nonsense. Yeah. So I'm waiting. Where is the there? It's where's the beef? It's the Wendy's thing. It's free crab tomorrow painted on the side of the shack, but there's no tomorrow when you get there. We've known this shit for years now. It's been since 2019 we knew that this happened. I was sipping bourbon, ready to toast on election night. I was doing a live stream, just waiting for it to happen. All right, President Trump got his second term. That was late 2019. We're coming up on 7 years of this stuff now. No indictments. They've arrested people over nothing. They've had Fannie Willis. They've had Alvin Bragg. They've had all of this stuff going after nothing, changing the terms just to get the indictments, just to get the crimes on paper, because the process is the penalty. Is there ever going to be a penalty for people that are obviously guilty as sin? Tonight, we got no resolution to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, what I come away from this is that I do think it's significant that Barack Obama was named as a co-conspirator in this. I do not think it's insignificant. As you all have pointed out, it would have a lot more impact if at the end of it he said, Barack Obama was involved in that, and last night at 11:45 p.m. we arrested him, and he's currently in Gitmo awaiting a military tribunal. That would have made a fucking difference. This doesn't. Maybe, I mean, how much?
Also, he says, if they've got all this evidence, instead of saying the FBI, the CIA, et cetera, are investigating, he says, I'm going to ask them to investigate. You got all this evidence, you got all these federal crimes being committed. You've got all these crimes being committed against the people of the United States, and you're going to ask that they investigate? That's something that they normally find and begin an investigation on their own without any instruction from anybody. So why would he have to ask them now to investigate? That means they're still not doing anything.
And wasn't Tulsi Gabbard all over Georgia with hundreds of agents? We've known this for months and months. How about in this speech you say, and that's why the Department of Justice, DNI, Homeland Security, whichever alphabet agency you want, and that's why under this person, this person, this person, and this person, indictments have been dropped for the following people along a list of co-conspirators. They're being arrested this evening. That's what I wanted. I want some actual action here. I don't know.
And there is
not just some little county employee from BF nowhere getting arrested. I want to see senators, congressmen, people that in high levels of government, which were involved in all of this and who are being paid off to get all of these things done. Governors, state representatives, state senators. I want to see all these people being arrested for their part in cheating on the elections, not just Barack. I mean, I want to see Barack arrested, but I want to see all these other people go down with him.
And I don't want to see an indictment for posting an 8647 seashell picture on the beach. Get them for the treason. It's actual treason, most foul. Does it even matter anymore? I'm frustrated.
Wow, we have some serious faggots in the Rumble chat. It must be Eric Dinger or something. Yeah, you're a fag. So, fuck off. Get off my stream, you faggot.
Is that a technical term? Is that a technical term, Mike?
It is faggot. Yeah, he is a faggot. He sucks big green donkey dicks. Okay, I agree. Again, he said ABC and NBC should lose their licenses. He said he's going to ask about it. Ask about it? Terminate their licenses tonight. Kick them out of the fucking White House tonight. Don't let them broadcast.
The other thing, Obama, it was illegal to have any kind of propaganda broadcast in the United States. And Obama rescinded that.
Yep.
So why not put that back into play? That's if you get caught doing it, you're going to prison.
Yep.
It's not very difficult to do.
That's fine. So I guess we all have the same consensus here. It's great to finally hear some of this stuff. And I think it's good, potentially, that Obama got named, but I don't see any action coming against these people anytime soon. I mean, what are they afraid of? They're afraid of that the left is going to riot. The streets are going to riot anyway. If the Republicans, if Trump wins in the fall, they're going to riot again anyway. They're going to say it was rigged when they have no evidence that Republicans rig elections. We only have evidence that Democrats they collaborate with foreign governments to steal our elections. They stole the presidency. We were invaded in 2020, and this is not a significant. And
the other thing is, I don't care if people riot. I don't care what they do. The main goal, if they go in, I remember back when Jimmy Carter was in office and they were going to arrest Coleman Young. And Jimmy says, no, don't arrest Coleman Young because even though they had him on tape, they knew he was drug dealing. They knew he was stealing money from the city. They knew he was stealing money from the state because the blacks will riot in the city. Let them riot. And then you go in and you go in force and you arrest them and you take them down and for committing crimes against their communities. That's simple. You don't let it go and you don't not enforce the law because you're afraid somebody's going to, publicly misbehave or they're going to cause some kind of a problem. Deal with it.
Yeah, well, you know what? Amy Coney Barrett was crying about how she's received all these threats. Well, guess what? You can solve that. Resign. Go ahead and resign, you bitch. We don't need you. We don't want you. You're a loser.
And we know that Mitch McConnell's wife, we know what she was doing in China when she was there because she knew he was going to talk about this. He was going to expose China. So they have to send their minions who are here in the United States out to the different networks, out to the different people that they've paid off and try to do some type of, clean it up as best they can so that they're not actually connected to the criminal activity.
There's some guy out here. He's gonna call in. We do call. No, faggot. We don't do calls because you're a fag. You fucking pussy. Give me a break. Good God. All All right. Does anybody get any impression whatsoever that this is going to lead to anything substantial before the November election, like Barack Obama or anybody of any significance? Because Barack Obama, Stacey Abrams, the two senators, Warnock and Ossoff from Georgia, these people should all be under arrest right now. Does anybody see anything like that happening before November?
I do not. I've pulled up some of the files now from the White House, and there's a lot of stuff with redactions. I mean, it basically breaks down into 4 folders, and let me see if I can find them. I just had them, but it's about China. It's about the election infrastructure. There's one about Michigan. There's a lot of documents, but there's all kinds of redactions in it. So there's no like names that I'm seeing so far. Granted, I've only pulled up a few, but I'm not holding my breath for anything.
Same thing.
Okay, Keith Kendrick. Sorry about that. Fag and gay are 2 of my go-to slurs, but they're really not aimed at gay people who are patriotic. They're just aimed at people who are girly men who try to be tough on the internet. So, but I do apologize for that, Keith. I'll try to lay off that. I'm just gonna call Steve gay.
And we do fat shame people constantly on the program.
Yes. We do gay shame each other. All right, Brian, any final thoughts? That was something, but it wasn't anywhere near enough from my perspective.
We're coming up on 6 years, Mike. President Trump has been in office a long time. We all know what happened. Nothing is happening. We're supposed to just trust a plan. No, trust me, bro. We're going to get to the bottom of this. John Thune is running interference. They're messing with the session, so Trump can't even appoint his people to fill.
And here's the thing. I mean, Donald Trump could send J.D. Vance to the Senate today, and he could adjourn the Senate. Trump could issue all of his recess appointments, and they could tell John Thune to go chase a rolling donut. They could do that. They could have done that at any time. Why won't this guy act? Why won't he grow a pair of balls? I don't get that, Brian.
Well, right now, by redacting all that information, he's allowing all of these people to do damage control. And it's going to give them more time to do damage control, to change documents, to do whatever they need to do to try to get out of it. So if he had named them, if he had not redacted those names, if he had named those names, then they would be under the microscope and they wouldn't have any time to do anything. And they should be. And also, if they hold any kind of public office or any type of office where they have access to any files or evidence, they should immediately be removed immediately so that they can't tamper with anything else.
Do any of you think that this was not really a call to arms, but it was simply to apply political pressure to the Senate to pass the Save America Act and to go and to the Supreme Court to act on some of the things that could have, like they could have acted on a couple of the court cases. Do you think that's all this was just a political stunt?
It was pressure. This needed to be Velcroed with indictments.
Yep, it did.
If you don't get all 1,000 of the top 1,000 people involved, and trust me, there are 1,000 people involved. Yep. You don't get the top 100 of 1,000. It needed to be attached to indictments. You needed to get the ball rolling. And you want to see people sweat. You say that one of our alphabet agencies, DHS, Tulsi, pick your person, Cash. Indictments have been drawn for the following people because we're not tolerating this in America. They have determined that you've committed treason by undermining our democratic republic where each vote is supposed to count. And every time it's diluted by illegal votes, every time it's diluted by machine chicanery, every time it's diluted by this and that, you're committing treason against our republic. None of that happened. You want to see people sweat and start singing on each other? You drop a couple indictments, not just Comey for seashells, but actually big ones. And none of that happened. Yes, it's political pressure. It's trying to get the Save America Act passed. But no, there was no emergency broadcast breakthrough on those 2 networks. No, there was nothing.
Do you honestly believe that Barack Obama is scared right now? No, he's not.
No,
He's
because
not
nothing's
intimidated in
happened.
the least.
He's too busy sucking Michelle's dick right now, anyway.
But I'm just saying, I'm telling you, he could care less about the speech. He's going to go out. He's going to, throw out some more propaganda that, he's being picked on because he's black or whatever.
Oh, he'll do an interview with NBC or ABC tomorrow for sure. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, from any of you guys? That was it wasn't a nothing burger, but it wasn't much either. Blake?
Yeah, it was basically the campaign speech and a call for more investigations. Oh, there's a document dump, which probably isn't going to lead to much of anything, leading to, I guess, to the persuasion of the Save America Act, but also interesting that they're going to try to sabotage that. They're already getting ahead of that. Senator Tom Tillis. It's too bad Brooks couldn't be here for that, for his North Carolina senator that they wanted to take his spot. But Tillis was basically saying, how are we going to do anything? It's too late. Look at the inconvenience it's going to cause all of these states to put this legislation in at the last minute. Like, they've known about this forever, and they've still got like over 3 months. So they want to ruin this and derail it and destroy Trump. And he didn't help himself that much.
He didn't help himself. I agree.
Yeah, and by the way, Blake, the humanity. You have to show your driver's license to vote. How could we ever implement such a complicated procedure in just 4 months? We could never do such a thing.
I can remember when my mom used to go to vote, I'd go with her and she would have to show her ID to prove she lived in the precinct.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, oh my God, it was so hard to do that. All right, guys. Not much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each of you guys taking your time out on a Thursday night for this. And I am off to Sedona, Arizona tomorrow, where I will see some of you guys at the weekend. So
you could drive there, right? Oh, or
are you driving or flying? Can you hear us, Mike?
Yeah, I'm driving. I'm just going to drive. Yeah.
All right. Have a safe drive then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't drink too many beers on the way down.
Yeah. Boy, there's some seriously demented people in this chat. And Keith, can I get permission to call that guy a fag, please? Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We love our gay fans too. Talk to you guys next week. I'll see you on Monday with Susan, and we'll see some of these boys back on Tuesday. We'll get Brooks' impression. All right. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.